I wanted to have a debate with you this week,
Mm.
Guy, about the general principle of chopping and changing your prime minister or
Yes.
your leader every 5 minutes, because that's what seems to be going on at the moment. We throw away prime ministers like a can of beans. And I know we're talking about Keir Starmer at the moment, but quite aside from Keir Starmer, in general terms, it's not good for the country, is it? We're going through dreadful times, both strategically in terms of international events, but also on a domestic level in terms of trying to get people to invest in this country and to have faith in where we're going. And they're talking about, even people in his own party are talking about getting rid of him. And I don't know quite where, Anna Sower, the
the Scottish guy.
Yeah.
He. Do you think he was one of those where he had a few mates like Rayner and a few of the sort of the Johnny Come Latelys, who says, right, well, if you go first, we're right behind you.
So,
Do you think he was one of those?
I think so. They were down having a couple of pints of heavy down the boat. Yeah, let's have a pint of heavy, Anna. And in the heavies came, and after a few of those, she said, you come out tomorrow, and once you've come out, we'll come out one by one afterwards. And yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. Because there was talk of Streeting having been involved in this plotting, wasn't there?
Oh, really? Well, he's mentioned all the time, though, which is what he says, isn't it? People briefing against him.
Yeah, Anna Sower, certain people were saying that was exactly the plan, that Anna Sower was going to make this speech,
right,
and then Streeting and a load of other ministers were going to follow on from that,
right.
and that it had all been agreed with. Of course, Streeting totally denies it now, and Anna Sower says he did it purely off of his own. But I'd have loved to have been a fly on the wall in this Scottish Parliamentary Labour Party meeting the other day, the day after he'd come out, because from what I can tell, he hadn't consulted the Parliamentary Labour Party.
Oh, that's
a lot
not
of
good.
them were a little bit, to put it mildly, a little bit put out that he'd taken it upon himself to break links. I can see why he's done that. We're moving off the point to a degree, but I can see
We'll
why
come back to it.
Yeah, I can see why he's done that, because from a political point of view in Scotland, Starmer isn't the most popular figure that the Labour Party have ever had, and he's facing wipeout against against reform and against the SNP, who seem to have had a bit of a resurgence come these Scottish elections in May.
And maybe because politicians are human, although people may deny that, but maybe there's a point where you just get so pissed off. You say, I'm just going to say this because I'm thinking it. I'm fed up with lines to take and having to do this and having to do that. Maybe you just lost it.
Yeah.
Mind you, just a slight move to one side. What about Mr. Streeting publishing his WhatsApp messages to Peter Mandelson?
Yeah.
It wasn't helpful when he said, we've got to get hold of a growth strategy.
It's not.
And ends them all with a kiss.
Yes, it's not. I mean, you can understand, because there was this talk, wasn't there? This chatter in the tea rooms. I always love this. Have you ever been to Parliament? Have you ever wandered around Parliament?
In one of the sort of back rooms once for some dodgy meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
You just hear this, because this is what they used to talk about Thatcher. Or Thatcher didn't like the tea rooms or what have you. Whereas there are others who used to work the tea rooms. You'd have loved it. Instead of your gin and tonic, it'd be you're having your Earl Grey and what have you.
I love a bit of smoozing, as you know.
Wandering around the table with the old scones and what have you.
Yeah. Do you mind if I join you?
How are things here today? Yeah. But the talk of the tea rooms was that I don't know how many they've got. It sounds as though there's nothing else but tea rooms and bars at Westminster. But the talk of the tea rooms was that he was plotting, wasn't it? Wes Streeting had his team ready to go. Quite cleverly, I thought. The backroom team at Downing Street were on the phones when this was all happening, when Anna made his, getting all the ministers to come out and forcefully back Streeting. I thought that was back Starmer. I thought that was a masterstroke. Although if you look at some of the messages they put up online, they're not whole-throated support, really.
No.
It's almost like the one that Angela Rayner almost said, I'll back him if there's nobody else. That's what it's at. Reading between.
And this followed the Monday evening meeting, didn't it? all
Yeah.
these endorsements.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. They had
of the
the
Parliamentary Labour Party.
yeah, they all go behind the,
Well,
meeting
apparently,
room 5 or what have you, don't they?
well,
And
that's it. Do you think they bang desks, or is that just the
I
Tories?
I don't think they bang desks this one. No, I don't
Yeah.
think it's just whooping.
Okay. Okay.
Whoop, and they make
Whooping.
it. Yeah, whooping. And I hear it.
Well, but this meeting happens every Monday, though. Apparently, it's not.
Oh,
It's
does
not.
it?
It, yeah, maybe not every Monday, but it's not like it was specially convened.
Well,
But
I did hear some Labour Party MP on the radio afterwards, and now it explains it to me because the guy who was interviewing said, are you a regular at these meetings? He said, no, I've never bothered to turn up before this.
well, did you hear that they even some of the nobles went along? So
Oh, what the
yeah,
Lords?
the Blunkett was there.
Oh, was he?
And who else was quoted as being there? Who else? Who's in the Lords now? Some of the big dogs of the Labour Party.
Crikey.
Kinnock was there.
Kinnock. Oh, was he
Yeah.
Lord Kinnock?
So it was basically them saying, and they said there's one lord, and they didn't give his name, who was barely able to stand, but he made sure he stood at every appropriate moment, which I thought you'd enjoy.
Yes. What are appropriate moments? All stand. Simon says.
You know, Starmer's speeches are not the best, I think,
No.
but he does like his crescendos where he does, and I said this, and we're going to do this, and everyone goes, oh, I think that's what he means. Anyway, we've rather moved away from your point.
Moved from the
so
point.
let's get back to the point.
Back to the point.
What was the point?
The point is that we had, I think the figure is between the Second World War and the 1990s, we had something like 6 or 7 prime ministers.
Yeah.
And in the last 5 years, we've had the same number, basically, haven't we? I think we've had, counting them through, we had, first of all, we had Cameron in coalition with Nick Clegg. I don't know what Nick Clegg was the deputy prime minister.
Deputy prime minister, yeah.
And then we had
student loans, yeah.
Then we had Cameron on his own.
Yeah.
And then he made the error of calling a referendum on Brexit.
Theresa May.
And then we had, Brexit means Brexit, which was one of the classic 3-word Brexit means Brexit.
Yeah, I like
that. Then she was usurped, wasn't we? We had Boris Johnson.
To be fair, we had Theresa May taking over from Cameron, and then Theresa May on her own, but losing her majority and having to rely on the DUP.
Well,
by what was it again? Arrangement of convenience or something. What's it called?
Arrangement of convenience is where you put billions into the Northern Irish economy and they give you nothing back other than the odd vote here and there.
Right. That's something about convenience.
What used to be called bribery
yes,
but not anymore.
Don't taint such a noble thing.
No. And who followed her? It was our man Boris, wasn't it?
Boris, yeah, 80 majority, good win.
Yeah. And then of course it was Pincher by name, Pincher by nature that brought him down.
Final, well, it was several things, but that didn't help.
And following him was the lettuce, wasn't it? You'd forgotten all about her, hadn't you?
Not really, but yeah, it's just a sequence. Yeah, Liz Truss.
Yeah.
Unelected.
And she lasted a month, didn't she? If I remember rightly, roughly. And then we had, I guess, what you'd consider. I think I'd probably consider him the most successful prime minister of that run in terms of stability for the nation.
Rishi Sunak.
Yeah.
I think he's a decent man. Obviously he's a very rich, decent man. And I think he was just right bloke, wrong time.
Yeah.
And another time he might have had a better fist of it, really.
He reminded me a lot, again, different times and slightly different views on the economics of the piece, but he reminded me a lot of John Major in the Conservative Party. He was a steady, he was after somebody who was quite ignoring Truss, because I think that was an aberration. But after somebody who was Boris Johnson, who was all huff and bluster and boosterism and what have you, Thatcher was to a degree quite similar. She was very demonstrative, wasn't she? After both of those, you had this, I suppose, to a certain extent, an accountant who stepped in, who's very a safe pair of hands and calmed things down a bit and spoke to the markets. And I mean, it wouldn't have been a safe pair of hands if we had known what John Major was up to with Edwina Currie.
No, but
but at
to
the
be fair,
time, yeah.
it was when we had Sunak. It's like Beaumont and Chapman solicitors were managing the country,
Mm,
wasn't it? It was
yeah,
all very sort of straight. He just made the mistake of making too many promises and
yeah,
also not buying himself an umbrella when he announced the election.
absolutely. That was a disaster, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, everything was a disaster. Why he called the election, I think he just had
No.
enough.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
Anyway, back to the
back to
crux
the
of it.
point. The point.
The point
And
in
what was the point again?
hand is this is not good for our nation, is it really, to keep chopping and
No.
changing? And I'm rapidly coming to the conclusion
Yeah.
that when you elect a government
Yeah.
and you've got a leader who becomes the prime minister, that if during the course of the term the party decides that they no longer like that leader
General
anymore,
election.
that they should have to go back to the country. Exactly. There are exceptional circumstances. Clearly, if somebody
Yeah.
dies or if somebody's really ill or the personal circumstances that
Yeah.
mean
Different.
they have to step
Different.
down, that's one thing. But this, because by having this nonsense, we want, as a nation, we seem to want, and MPs, we seem to want instant gratification. Everything has to happen overnight. I mean, whether you like Starmer or whether you don't like Starmer, he's made some mistakes, but he was never going to get everything sorted out in 18 months. That was never going to happen. And I just think this has got to stop. We need to give these people full terms or they need to go back to the country. I just think,
Well,
you know,
I think I certainly agree with that. And if I could call you and raise you and say that should also apply to MPs who decide to go to another party of
absolutely,
either persuasion, I think
absolutely.
it's absolutely shameful that you could vote for what you thought was going to be a Conservative MP,
Mm,
only to find that they're now a Reform MP,
mm,
which is totally different,
yeah,
or Labour, it doesn't matter.
no,
Then right, no problem. We'll go to the country. If I'm so good and
yeah,
I know what I'm doing and you
yeah.
think I'm fantastic, I've got a new badge, then back me. So
Put
same
it to the
thing,
test.
but obviously not as significant, but put it to the test. But I have a theory about this. I was funny enough talking to someone about this the other day. I think it's all driven by this sort of social media culture of immediacy.
Mm,
We all want everything now.
mm.
Our time spans for results have shortened. Our attention spans are almost nothing.
Yeah, yes, it's true.
And then you've got the media having to fill those slots.
Mm,
And therefore, they're pumping out all these stories and agitating, and the whole thing results
yeah.
in what we've got. So,
Well, I
yeah,
noticed they won't,
agreed.
the Starmer story, they just won't let that go. They want to keep bubbling it on the. I've noticed with all the news channels that they're trying to find different angles all the time as
Yeah.
to, and it's not, they don't want it finished. Quite understandably, it's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
It's advantageous to them. But as you were saying, in terms of we want an immediacy, my other half ordered some light bulbs last
Oh,
night at 11 o'clock from
yeah.
Amazon, and they
Good.
were here 11 o'clock this morning. I don't
Crikey.
know where where Mr. Amazon lives.
Yeah.
They must. Oh no, this is a side issue, but it just goes towards what you're saying that we
Yeah.
want instant gratification and we need to give these things time.
Okay. Totally agree.